Hey guys, it's Mitch here. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to film my fern leaf epiphyllum. This is a more unusual and uncommon epiphyllum that I've found to be difficult to find. I got mine as a little cutting about a year ago, and it's assimilated and growing quite nicely for me now. You can see it has these beautiful flat leaves that look like fern leaves, and I've been growing it outside since the springtime. We're now the middle of October, so the temperatures here are getting on the cooler side, and I will move it inside for the rest of the winter. Before I get too far into talking about this plant, I'll show you a few things that are blooming for me at the moment. This is my Paphiopedilum villosum. It's got two flowers this year, one of my favorite Paphiopedilums. My Phalaenopsis are all spiking. They're nice and happy this year. They love the cooler fall temperatures, and they usually throw out their spikes now. Here's a little dendrobium that's blooming, and a nice little begonia that I thought was going to die, but perked up since I put it outside here. I love begonias, but they're tricky for me to grow. This is Streptocarpus bethan, blooming quite nicely. Have a little Masdevallia. This one's called Lemon Meringue. One of my favorites. I'll show you quickly where I grow my other epiphyllums outside. This is a nice hutch that we got for free. Someone was throwing this out. So it's made of cedar, and I just put it out here under my overhang. Got some Epiphyllum oxypetalum here. Here's another one. This is the red epiphyllum that I filmed blooming in the spring. This is my yellow one. This one I mistakenly left outside all winter, and the temperatures went down to about -9 degrees, and the whole thing froze. I thought it was dead, but it did grow back this year. It was frozen and dead down to the ground, and all these new growths are what grew out this summer. This is my Cactus anguliger, growing quite nicely outside. You know, some people ask me how soon epiphyllums will bloom from cuttings, and you can see here this is a cutting I did of meadow rose, and it's blooming on the cutting. There's a bud coming out. Really excited about that. These are some cool plants called Cotinanthes. They're in the same family as African violets. They have really nice bell-shaped flowers and these very cool iridescent leaves. I should do a little video about these actually, because they're very, very cool plants. Those of you asking about my Alsobia dianthiflora, here it is outside. It's been outside since the spring, growing quite nicely. And this is my Streptocarpella that I transplanted from cuttings last fall around this time. And this is my new one. It's a Streptocarpella white. So anyway, I do grow a lot of cool plants out here. It's nice and sheltered, but I will start moving them inside now that the temperatures are getting cooler. This is probably one of the first ones I'll move inside because I don't know its temperature range too well yet at this moment. I'll show you my little temperature thermometer. This thing tells me the max current and minimum temperature. So the highest it's been recently was 29 degrees. It's 13.3 degrees right now, and it's gone down to a low of 5.6. So all of these plants have been outside in that temperature range. I find a lot of plants can take cooler temperatures as long as you keep them dry. So this one, it is quite dry at the moment. So this fern leaf epiphyllum, it is a native to Mexico. It's an epiphytic plant, hence the name epiphyllum, although they've now changed the name to Selanicerius chrysocardium. It used to be called Epiphyllum chrysocardium. This is an epiphyllum that likes lower light levels, so I don't give it quite as much sun. At this moment when I'm filming, it is getting a little bit of sun from the east, but normally it gets sun first thing in the morning, and that's about it. It gets this tiny little bit of light from around the corner this time of day. So it likes lower light levels. It's supposed to bloom in spring and summer, although I've read that this is a shy bloomer. It's hard to get this one to get to bloom, so I'm going to play around with it this year, next year, and see if I can coax it into flowering. I do fertilize it, but I have read that they flower better when they're in more root-bound growing environments and poor soil, so we'll have to wait and see. I'm going to take some cuttings and propagate it, and then I'll play around with fertilizer, no fertilizer, and light levels with the different plants, so see if I can get it to bloom. I do water it quite regularly. In the summer I do let it dry out just a little bit in between, but like most epiphyllums, it does like it relatively moist, although in the winter I can keep it a little bit drier. You can propagate this plant from stem cuttings. I have a great video about all the different ways you can propagate epiphyllum, so I'll link that video down below along with some of my other epiphyllum videos if you want to check them out. Yeah, so I'll do some cuttings from this plant and then play around with growing conditions, see if I can get it to flower. I will move it inside where it gets some nice bright indirect light now that the temperatures are cooler. But yeah, that's about it. It has a really nice pendulous growth habit, so this is a really good one for hanging baskets. And that's about it. Hope you guys like this video. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to message me down below. And then along with this one, if you have any tips and you're good at growing this plant, send me some information. Always happy to expand my growing experience with other people. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.